Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 8-game NBA slate for you. This slate is pretty interesting, though there are a ton of injuries, but we do know most of these. We have a few questionable tags still, but we do know a lot of injuries, so we can already look at some good value plays, and there's good plays across the board in price ranges, so I think we have a really good slate here. We're going to start with the injury report. Before I do that, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? Baseball season is also around the corner. As soon as baseball season starts, I'll be doing daily baseball stuff as we wind down the NBA season. So let's go ahead and get started though here. For the Bucks, Giannis and Holiday are both out. For the Pistons, Joseph and Magruder are questionable. Cunningham, Bogdanovich, Stewart, Burks, and Diallo are all out. For the Mavericks, Keebler is questionable. For the Pacers, Heald and Duarte are out, and Turner and Halliburton is questionable. If Turner were to miss, then Isaiah Jackson would definitely get a huge boost. For the Rockets, Tate is out. For the Knicks, Brunson is questionable. If Brunson was to miss, then that would make Isaiah Quickly very good. Or sorry, Emmanuel Quickly. Mix up my players. For the Suns, Durant is out. For the Jazz, Clarkson and Sexton are out, and Markkanen is questionable. For the 76ers, Embiid is out. For the Nuggets, Porter Jr. is questionable. For the Pelicans, Zion and Alvarado are both out. For the Trailblazers, Lillard, Grant, Simmons, and Nurkic are doubtful. Winslow is out, and Warford is questionable. For the Timberwolves, Towns is doubtful. For the Bulls, Caruso is questionable, and Green is out. And for the Clippers, Paul George and Powell are out. So lots of injuries here, but let's go and get into the core plays I do like today. So my favorite overall play is going to be Nikola Jokic. He's played extremely well lately, all season long. In fact, his price has actually come down a little bit from its peak, and he's been having 60 fantasy point games and up quite a bit lately. So he also has triple-double potential. And he's got a pretty good matchup here against Philly where there's no Embiid. So I think he looks like a great play, assuming Embiid is out, which it looks like he is. So I expect him to play really well in this game. Then we're going to look at Chris Middleton for Milwaukee. Now, he's in a really good spot with Giannis out and also Drew Holiday out. He'll definitely take more usage as a result, and his price is still pretty good. Anytime it's below $8,000 and somebody is out for their starting lineup, he definitely gets a nice boost, and so I look for him to be a good play. He's not somebody I expect really to get 50 fantasy points in this particular game, but I do think in the 40 to 50 range is definitely viable, which gives him some good utility here. Shaedon Sharpe has played extremely well for Portland so far since he's been playing more with Lillard out, and I expect that to continue here. His price has come up more, though, and so he's a little bit risky because of that, but he's had 3 straight games over 34 fantasy points, so he has some upside here. It is a little bit tougher matchup than he's had prior, though. Then we're going to look at Bobby Portis, who I really like today. Anytime Giannis is out, he becomes a great play, and his price has finally dropped back down from where it was from last time he got a couple of starts as a result of Giannis being out. So I look for him to be a really great option on the slate. He's just, quite frankly, too cheap. He is a core play, must-play type of player today. Then we're going to look at Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks. Now, he's looking like a pretty good spot. He's played pretty well lately. He had a couple off games in the middle of last week, but I think he'll bounce back here, have a really good game here against Houston, who really doesn't play great defense, and I expect him to have a good game here. He's not somebody I expect to get 35 or 40 fantasy points, but getting close to 30 is definitely doable here, and his price is reasonable, and he's a pretty good value play. Then we're going to look at Drew Eubanks, who's played extremely well last couple of games with Nurkic out again. And as long as he continues to play and stay under $4,400, he's definitely worth a look. He hadn't had a double-double in either game. He did have a lot of blocks last game, which definitely inflated his score. But getting in the mid-20s and fantasy-wise is definitely possible for him, and he does have double-double potential. Then we're looking at Joe Ingles, who looks like he should potentially draw a start here, but you would want to make sure he ends up getting a start here. But he has some nice upside with the different guys out for the Bucks, and so he has some. And this is a nice plus matchup as well. And his price is reasonable enough that he has some upside here. He's had a pretty good set of games prior to this one. And then finally, Javon Carter, who is what I think a must play, assuming he draws the start with Drew Holiday being out. He should be good to go as a great option here. Anytime he plays a big chunk of minutes, he tends to have a good fantasy output. He's just way too cheap, and so he becomes a near must play on the slate, if not a must play. So those are really my core plays here. I've got I do think that you could take a look at James Harden, assuming he plays, and a couple others. Obviously, if there's some injuries to certain players, like on Indiana or on, if they get ruled out, or on Philly, if anybody else gets ruled out, also with the Knicks, then quickly would be available as well. So there's a lot of good options, once we find out about some of these injuries. And even Russell Westbrook would have some utility for the Clippers with Paul George out. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And have a nice day, guys.